What is going on, low baggers? It's your boy Animarak. Clint coming back to you for some more MMA action. It's been 2 long ass weeks since we've had any MMA fights, and I gotta tell you, I was about dying waiting for the UFC to get back in action. I am ready to go. This week we're headed to Washington, D.C., so we've got UFC D.C. going on this weekend, Saturday kickoff. And it's a good one. It's a free fight card, so you don't have to worry about paying for it on pay-per-view. Before we get into the breakdowns, I gotta let you know, the Lords of the Cage contest is back. We had such a good run of it with the first time a couple months ago. SBR thought it good enough to go ahead and give us another one. Except this time, we got a little twist. We've got Team Low Bag versus Team Live Line. That's right. I am teaming up with our boy, Mr. Fat Fist from the Low Bag chat. We are going head to head with the Live Line boys. So there's an aspect of you get to make your picks. You've got a chance to win some cash. And then you pick your side. You want to roll with Team Low Bag, which you better be, or you get to roll with Team Live Line. You get to pick the winning team of each week in the contest. There's only 2 events this month. It's going to be a 2-week contest running. Head on over to the SBR forums. It's free to enter. Sign up on SBR. Enter into the thread. All you got to do is reply with your picks, pick your team, and then we've got a cool little tiebreaker option. Jump on in and be one of the Lords of the Cage. Team Low Bag for life, baby. So let's break down these fights. I've got a couple of picks for you all this weekend. You know me. I like to sprinkle a little action pretty much everywhere. You can count on a couple different looks. Kicking our night off, the first fight on the card, we've got Muradov taking on Smith, and I've got an interesting look on this one. Muradov is a massive favorite. This kid is huge. He's making his second UFC fight debut here. He won his first UFC fight via decision. However, before that, when he was on the regional scene, he was crushing people's skulls in. He's a -400 favorite, and I think it's absolutely justified. This is a step down in UFC level competition for him. His last fight was against Alessio Di Chirico, who I am relatively high on. Now he's facing Smith, who's a 38-year-old fighter. He's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but he's not really spectacular anywhere, and he's been real up and down in the UFC. He's riding a 2-fight losing streak right now, and his last fights have all gone to decision, but you can count on it that at that age, taking on these young, hungry lions, eventually that durability wanes, and that knockout blow is gonna land. I think Muradov gets this one inside the distance. So instead of playing him straight, or even taking the prop on him inside the distance, we're gonna go under 2.5. We can get +120 on that, so we're starting off with the dog lines already. Y'all know how I roll. We're going to go under 2.5 on the first fight of the card, Muradov versus Smith at +120. Our next look is going to be Thiago Alves versus Tim the Dirty Bird Means. This is a fight where both guys desperately need a win. Tim Means is coming off the first knockout loss of his UFC tenure, and it's really interesting to see how fighters bounce back from that. He's not a young bird himself. Neither is Thiago Alves on the flip side of this. Both guys are 1-3 in their last 4 fights. Thiago Alves, on the other hand, should be 0-4. He blatantly robbed Max Payne Griffin when they fought in Brazil a little bit ago, and we cashed on that decision prop when that went down. So I'm not going to complain too much about that, but the fact of the matter is he should be 0-4. So these guys are both just looking to get into the win column. They're both very decorated strikers, and this is going to be a chess match on the feet. Short of the Dirty Bird coming out, balls to the wall, which you usually don't see after a knockout loss, we should be able to lock up an over. I'm taking the over 2.5 at -140 rather than picking a side here. I think this one just goes to the cards, and I don't want to have to worry about the judges. Our next look is the return of Aspen Ladd. Right now you can get her at -155, and this is a straight play on Ladd. I like her coming back here. I think we're going to see Aspen Ladd 2.0. Her opponent, Yana Kunitskaya, she's shown that she can be TKO'd. Her first fight in the UFC was against Cyborg, which, don't get me wrong, I know Cyborg KOs everybody, so I'm not putting a ton of stock into that. However, she's a stand-up fighter, and she really likes to use the clinch. Aspen Ladd's whole thing is the ground game. She's got absolutely brutal, hellish ground and pound, and if she takes you down, she will pound you out. The referee will step in and stop it. And the issues with Aspen Ladd to this point has been her weight. She gave everybody that absolute fantastic scare a couple of weeks back when she almost didn't make it to the fight. Herb Dean stopped it early when she fought Jeraine Duran to me because of how she looked on the scales. Everybody was worried that she was going to die at the weigh-ins. She has since moved over to work with the UFC Performance Institute. They've got her on point. I just saw a tweet about her weight right now. It's being very, very closely monitored, and I think they've brought her natural weight down a little bit so that weight cut isn't so brutal the week of her fight. I think it's going to make a huge difference. I think she makes weight. I think she comes in here and gets back to the Aspen Ladd that we all expect to see. We're getting minus 155 on her, and I think that's an absolute steal, because if she comes in and does what I expect her to do, we're not going to get minus 155 on Aspen Ladd for a long time. She's a wrecking machine, and I will be sprinkling Aspen Ladd by knockout at plus 300. I expect her to get this thing to the floor, and I expect the referee to save Yana Kunitskaya at some point. The final pick of the evening, actually the final picks, we've got two of them riding on the main event here. I'm rolling with Alistair Overeem. If you follow me on Twitter, at DieHardMMAPod, I tweeted this out before the 2-week break because I knew exactly where this line was going to go. I got Alistair Overeem at minus 115. You can get him about minus 125, minus 130 right now. Money is coming in on him against Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Now, Rozenstruik is a very, very accomplished and technical fighter. He's younger than Alistair Overeem, and he looks like he has got an absolute death touch bomb in his fists. So does Alistair. Alistair may be old, his career may be winding down, but the one thing he's got going for him is that veteran savvy experience. Rozenstruik has only been in the UFC for 3 fights, and he's only been into the second round once, and that was his UFC debut against Junior Albini. Now, the thing you want to know about that is really where this play comes in mind. Junior Albini was able to take down Rozenstruik at will. He is a kickboxer. He does not have any ground game whatsoever. Alistair Overeem knows that he's older. He knows he's got chin issues. He's not going to stand in front of Rozenstruik. He's going to close the distance, get the takedown, put this thing on the mat. Now, Alistair Overeem has a very underrated ground game. He's got dangerous submissions, and his ground and pound is nothing to sniff at either. If he puts Rozenstruik on the mat, it's over. Rozenstruik is not going to be able to push him off like he did Junior Albini and get to the second round. Alistair will end him. Now, the other side of this play, we're also going to play the under 1.5. We can get that right now at minus 140. The reason for that is because, plain and simple, I don't care who wins this thing. I don't think it's going beyond 1.5 rounds. That's 2 minutes and 30 seconds of the second round. Like I said, there's only been one time in his UFC tenure that Rozenstruik has gotten out of the first round to begin with, out of the first 30 seconds to begin with for that matter, but in the second round, he came out and finished the fight in less than a minute. So if it does happen to get to round 2, which I don't see it doing, I think Rozenstruik steps on the gas and he finds Overeem's chin. So we've got one of 2 options. Either Overeem can win this thing via KO, he can win it by submission, he can take it down, and he can finish this thing via TKO on the mat. 3 paths to victory for Alistair Overeem, so we're playing him at minus 115, or Rozenstruik puts that young, hefty power to work and he clips Overeem on the chin. And the later this fight goes, the more likely it is that Alistair Overeem gets that submission on the mat. So if Rozenstruik gets it done, it's going to be early. I like those 2 looks. That is my card for UFC DC. Thank you for sticking with me, low baggers. Hit the like, hit the subscribe button here at SBR. Go check out my channel as well, at DieHardMMAPod on Twitter. Check out the Die Hard MMA podcast where I break down this thing, every single fight in the card, way more in depth, and have a whole lot of fun with it. Good luck with your bets this weekend, everybody.